I'm Justin Morris, Director of Strategy here at Modality Systems, and in this series we're going to explore how Office 365 can make your business more agile and competitive, alongside best practices for building an effective technology roadmap. Subscribe to the channel or blog to join the journey, and get in touch if you have any questions. Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about enterprise collaboration with Microsoft Teams, and I'm joined today by Modality Systems resident collaboration champion, Lyndsay Ansell. Lyndsay, thanks for joining me.
No problem.
Lyndsay, we know that Skype for Business has been used by organisations around the world for a long time now for their communications needs. How is that different to Microsoft Teams?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. So I guess a lot of people are familiar with Skype for Business and probably not so much with Teams. So people are using Skype for Business at the moment for their calls and their chats. And the first thing to say in comparison is that Teams does all of those things as well. So you can still do your calling, you can still do your chats within Teams. In fact, the kind of video meeting experience is actually a lot better within Teams, much better quality and user experience. But Teams goes a lot further than that and actually provides a space and a collection of tools brought together under one roof to allow teams of people to really kind of work productively towards their outcomes and their end goals. So it's bringing together all sorts of 365 tools and files and chat and just general collaboration, everything you could want to kind of work towards an outcome that can happen inside of Teams. So it's a really good, it's much more than Skype for Business.
So it's more centred around the people?
Absolutely, yeah. It's really focused on kind of bringing people together and getting them working together in a space that will help them achieve what it is that they're trying to do.
Okay, great. And is there some examples of use cases for Microsoft Teams you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. So from my perspective as a history as a project manager, I've used it loads for lots of projects. So again, projects it's really well suited to because you do tend to, with projects, have a collection of a group of people who are all working together towards something specific. So you've got your chat about the project in a team, you can have a channel set up for that particular area of the project, and all the project progress is kind of tracked in the chat in the channel there. So it's really useful for me as a project manager. If I've asked some of my resources to do things, then I can see if they're getting on and doing it and ask for updates in there. It will also pull together really useful tools that I use, such as Planner and external ones like Trello as well. You can link those into the Teams space and kind of keep track of tasks and timelines and everything through those as well. Another use case that I've seen, particularly in Modality Systems, is we've got our development team out in Norwich. So they are working hard, deving all day, and they mainly work out of Teams day to day now. So they work with project managers like myself and also our product owners. We're not all co-located in Norwich, so it kind of bridges that gap between geographies really and makes it easy for us to feel like we're all one team working together, even though we're not in the same physical place, which is really, really nice and really useful. I guess you've probably got examples from Modality as well.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's a few that I've observed myself, particularly our HR and recruitment team have been using Microsoft Teams quite actively, particularly for candidate management. So whenever there's been a new applicant come through for a job opening, they can quickly scan through that candidate, work out if they're the right fit to then pass on to the hiring manager and then have them review that application. So then they've got all of those assets and resources in one place to work with and then bring through the right stakeholders. And there's countless other examples I think we've had within our company where we've been able to bridge geographical boundaries in a much better way with Microsoft Teams. So, if organisations wanted to start down this journey, how would they get started?
Yes, that's a really interesting question. So there's one of the kind of joys and challenges with Teams is there are various different approaches to getting started with it. What we did here at Modality Systems was to turn it on and see what happens, which is great in many ways because you get people just kind of trying it out and experimenting with it, and they find their own value from it, and then they're much more likely to kind of hero the benefit and the value of it across the rest of your organisation. So that can be really useful. useful. What you can also find is that while people are experimenting with it and kind of seeing how it benefits them, you might get a raft of sort of teams and channels that were set up with good intentions but actually become a bit of a kind of dead space, and kind of they're not needed anymore, or they didn't work quite as expected, so they start to sort of clog up the Teams area, and we get what we call Teams sprawl, which can make things look a bit messy, but that's just a question of tidying up, really. So, you know, if organisations are kind of willing to take that on as a future state after they've turned it on, then that's a really great way to approaching it. There are lots of kind of things that we can lock down with Teams, so you can specify that particular people only are allowed to set up teams and channels and things like that, so that might be something that possibly a larger organisation might want to do to have a bit more governance around that kind of thing. But yeah, there's various different approaches, and it's all about kind of what the organisation is trying to achieve, really.
Okay, so it almost sounds like there's some practical guidance to start off with.
Yes, definitely. Best practices, users really appreciate those, especially users who are not used to technology anyway. They really appreciate some kind of pointers in the right direction in terms of why should I set up a team, how can I set up a team, when wouldn't I set up a team even, because a team and a channel is not applicable to every situation, but also how can I share a document with someone without having to add them into the team just for that one task. All of those things are really worthwhile thinking about and kind of giving to people as a how do I do this, because people certainly from our experience that's what they seem to really kind of like and gravitate towards.
Great, thanks a lot for your time, Lyndsay.
No problem, anytime.
And if you'd like to know more about Microsoft Teams tips and tricks and how to get started, take a look at Lyndsay's blog, which is full of really great, useful content. And stay tuned for the next blog in this series, where we'll be talking about managing a user experience with the right measurement. Thanks.